Empress Sereth stood on the highest balcony of the obsidian palace, staring at the sky with a tight chest. Far above the shining towers of Orth Prime, a single message kept repeating in her mind. One shuttle approaching. Code phrase, Star Heir returning. For 11 years, her daughter Kale had been missing. 11 years since her science ship vanished near a dangerous nebula. They had searched every corner of that region. They found dust, metal pieces, old signals, but never her. Now, without warning, a strange shuttle was coming straight toward the palace. Seretha's bioluminescent markings glowed along her arms, shifting with her fear and hope. The royal guard stood behind her in silent rows. Nobles crowded the lower terraces. No one dared speak. A soft alert sounded. "The shuttle is entering the landing ring," the captain of the guard said. Sereth moved to the edge of the balcony. The sky split open as a dark shape pushed through the clouds, wrapped in blue fire. The shuttle had no imperial marks, no crest, nothing familiar. Yet Sereth felt her heart jump. The ship slowed and hovered over the landing platform. Wind rushed across the courtyard. Banners snapped. The nobles leaned forward, whispering. Sereth walked down to the platform herself. She did not want a servant beside her. A mother walked alone to meet her child. With a hiss of steam, the shuttle's ramp lowered. Everyone went silent. Even the air felt still. A tall Orith figure stood in the doorway. Strong build, silver veins glowing under glass-dark skin. But the clothes were wrong. No royal armor, only worn frontier clothing. Sereth froze. Kale. Older. Marked with scars. Eyes sharper and heavier than before. But still her daughter. Kale, Sereth whispered. Kale stepped forward. For a moment, the years of fear and searching hung between them like a wall no one knew how to cross. Then two small shadows moved beside Kale. Two children stepped into view. Human children. A boy around 8 held Kale's left hand tightly. He looked nervous, but his chin was lifted with stubborn courage. A little girl, maybe 6, held Kale's right hand and pressed a worn toy to her chest as she stared at the glowing palace with wide eyes. Gasps spread through the nobles. Humans. Why are they with her? Is she holding their hands? Kale walked across the platform slowly, the children staying close to her legs. They did not hide. They simply looked around with cautious wonder, trusting Kale completely. Sereth stepped down from the last stair, her heartbeat loud in her ears. Up close, Kale looked different. Less like a sheltered princess and more like someone who had lived through storms and chosen to stand anyway. Kale bowed her head slightly. Mother. Seretha's markings flared bright. For a moment, all she saw was the girl who used to run through the palace gardens, laughing at everything. You have returned, Sereth said softly. Kale nodded, then looked down at the two small humans. Switching to their language, she said gently, Noah, Mira, this is my mother. The boy gave a brave little bow. The girl copied him, clutching her toy. Kale looked up again, her voice now loud and clear in Orith, carrying across the entire platform. Mother, she said, these are my children. The words hit like an explosion. Noble staggered. Guard stiffened. A priest dropped his staff. Shock rippled through the entire courtyard. Human children as royal heirs. Sereth felt the world shift under her feet. The sky above her was calm, but everything else had changed forever. Her daughter had returned, and nothing in the Dominion would ever be the same again. The next morning, the palace felt heavier than usual. The guards stood straighter. The nobles whispered more sharply. Even the crystal walls seemed colder. Everyone was waiting for answers. Answers only Kale could give. Empress Sereth ordered a private meeting in the Chamber of Echoes, a round room where every word bounced softly along the curved walls. Only the Empress, the High Council, and Kale were allowed inside. The two human children stayed with palace tutors, who were still unsure whether to bow to them or keep a safe distance. When Kale entered the chamber, her steps were steady, but there was a new seriousness in her eyes. She did not wear royal clothes. She wore the same frontier shirt and patched boots from yesterday, as if she wanted to remind them she had not come home from a vacation. She had returned from survival. Sereth spoke first, her voice gentle but firm. Sit, my daughter. Tell us where you have been. Kale sat across from her mother, the glow of the crystal table reflecting off the scars on her arms. She breathed slowly, gathering 12 years of pain into a single starting point. My ship did not vanish by accident, she began. A gravitic storm tore it apart near a nameless frontier world. The council leaned forward. Some curious, some suspicious. Kale continued. I crashed on a planet the settlers call Ashen Reach. My pod was damaged. My body was broken. I could not move, could not call for help. She paused, eyes going distant. That world has no medical stations, no scanners, no rescue fleet. Only a small human settlement trying to survive storms, shortage of supplies, and raider attacks. The eldest counselor, Lord Cyrex, frowned. And these humans took you in? Kale's voice softened. Yes. They pulled me from the wreck with their bare hands. They cleaned my wounds using whatever they had, stitched skin with rough tools, fed me broth when I could not swallow, and stayed awake night after night to keep me alive. Sereth felt her breath slow. The Empress had seen countless races across the galaxy, but humans were still a mystery, small, fragile-looking beings with stubborn hearts. Did they know you were Orth royalty? Sereth asked. No, Kale answered. I looked like any injured alien to them. Yet they still helped. A ripple of discomfort spread through the council. Kindness without benefit was rare in the Dominion. Kale continued. I was unconscious for days. When I woke, 2 humans, Elise and Jonah, were caring for me. Their own daughter had died a month earlier in a raider attack. She paused. They should have been grieving. Instead, they saved a stranger. Lord Cyrex scoffed. Humans are emotional creatures. They act without logic. Kale looked straight at him. Sometimes emotion saves more lives than logic. The chamber grew silent. Kale went on. I stayed as I healed. At first, I planned to leave as soon as I could walk. But then the raiders returned. Heavily armed. Organized. They wanted supplies and people. The council members exchanged dark looks. Sereth whispered. Did the humans run? No. Kale's voice grew stronger. They stood together. Farmers, teachers, children, everyone defended each other. They built barricades, turned mining equipment into weapons, protected the weak with every breath. She leaned forward, eyes burning. I saw a 7-year-old boy run into fire to pull a toddler out of a collapsing shelter. I saw an elderly woman throw rocks at armed raiders to protect her neighbor. I saw Jonah, already injured, limp through explosions just to close a breached gate. Cyrex shook his head. Foolish. Wasteful. Kale's jaw tightened. No, she said. Brave. Human brave. The kind that does not wait for orders. The kind that acts because it is right. For a moment, even the walls seemed to listen. I helped them, Kale said. I repaired their shields, taught them how to reinforce their walls, and guided them during attacks. And during that time, something changed. Sereth leaned forward gently. What changed, Kale? Kale's voice softened. 2 children lost their parents in one of the raids. Noah and Mira. No one knew what to do with them. They cried until they fell asleep on the dusty floor. She swallowed. I held them. Her voice cracked slightly. They held me back. The Empress felt something tighten in her chest. Kale continued. I did not plan to be their mother. But they followed me, trusted me, needed me. And somewhere in all that fire and fear, I became theirs. The council erupted. This is unacceptable. Humans cannot be royal family. She brings chaos. Kale did not flinch. They saved me, she said simply. And I saved them. Family is not always born. Sometimes it's chosen in the middle of burning walls. Sereth raised her hand, and the chamber fell silent. Her daughter had returned. But the truth she brought with her would shake the Dominion to its core. By the time the sun rose over Orth Prime, the entire palace was buzzing like a disturbed hive. Servants hurried through the halls carrying rumors like invisible sparks. Nobles gathered in corners, speaking in low voices. Soldiers pretended to stand still, but their glowing markings flickered with curiosity. Everyone talked about the same thing. The Star Heir has returned, with human children. Kale tried to keep Noah and Mira close as the morning unfolded, but it was impossible to hide them. They stepped into a world built of shining crystal and strict rules. Rules they did not understand, and a world that did not understand them. As Kale walked through the great passageway, nobles bowed to her out of habit, but their eyes stayed fixed on the 2 small humans walking beside her. Some stared in shock. Some frowned. Some whispered behind folded fans. Mira, clutching her plush toy, whispered, Mama, are we in trouble? Kale squeezed her hand. No, little star. You're safe with me. But safety felt thin inside these sharp, elegant halls. A set of tall double doors opened, revealing the grand court chamber, filled with nobles in shimmering robes. Council members stood on raised platforms. The Empress sat at the center, regal and unreadable. As Kale entered with the children, the room dropped into complete silence. Even the floating lanterns dimmed slightly, sensing tension. Then, a single voice. Cold, sharp, proud. Lord Vorith, leader of the Purity faction, stepped forward. Princess Kale, he said loudly. The Dominion welcomes your return. But many questions remain. Kale bowed her head. I will answer what I can. Good, Vorith replied. His eyes slid toward the children. Then let us begin with them. Kale's shoulders tensed. These humans, Vorith said, pointing as if they were objects. What place do they have here? Why are they holding the hands of the star heir? Noah stiffened. Mira shrank behind Kale's leg. Kale's voice stayed calm. They are my children. Gasps echoed through the chamber like thunder rolling through glass valleys. Vorith smiled, but it was not kind. Children? With you? Impossible. Humans are fragile little things. Not worthy of our royal bloodlines. Noah's small hand trembled in Kale's. Myra's eyes watered. Kale stepped forward, anger glinting in her violet eyes. Their worth is not measured by their size. But Vorith lifted a hand dismissively. They do not belong here. They will bring weakness to our line, chaos to our traditions. You lost your way among lesser beings, princess. Kale inhaled sharply, ready to defend her family, but the chamber crackled with whispers. Some nobles agreed with Vorith. Others watched silently, uncertain. A few young nobles looked curious, not hostile. And then something unexpected happened. Little Mira, who had been hiding behind Kale's leg, stepped forward. Her voice was tiny but steady. We're not weak, she said. Vorith blinked. What? Mira lifted her chin. We're not weak. And we're not things. We're people. And Mama saved us. And we saved her too. Her Orth language was clear and perfect. Every noble's eyes widened. Kale stared at her in awe. The Empress leaned slightly forward. Vorith's expression twitched. A child speaking big words does not change. Noah's voice cut through the room. If the Dominion is so strong, he said carefully, why are you afraid of two small kids? Even the lanterns froze. A stunned silence wrapped around the court. Kale's heart swelled with fierce pride. The Empress's eyes softened. Some nobles hid small smiles behind their hands. Vorith's lips tightened, but he said nothing. Finally, Empress Sereth rose. That is enough, she said. Her voice carried like calm thunder. Kale has returned. She will not be judged in a day. She looked at the children. And neither will they. She lifted her staff, ending the debate. Tonight, the star heir and her family will rest. Kale bowed. Noah and Mira followed her movements, trying to copy the royal gesture. As they left the chamber, whispers erupted. Angry, curious, frightened, hopeful. But one thing was clear. The Dominion had never seen humans like these. And the more they whispered, the more the palace seemed to tremble with the truth. This was only the beginning. 3 days passed, but the palace did not calm down. Every hallway held whispers. Every meeting room held arguments. Every noble house sent messages asking the same thing. What will the Empire do about the human children? But something else was happening too, something darker. Reports began reaching the palace. A missing patrol ship. A destroyed cargo route. Strange signals near the border. At first, the council called them random problems. But Kale felt a familiar coldness in her stomach. She had seen these patterns before, on Ashen Reach, right before the raiders struck. The danger was coming closer. That morning, Empress Sereth called Kale to the Star Chamber, a room filled with floating holograms of the Dominion's borders. Admirals, commanders, and council members gathered around the glowing maps. Sereth spoke first. There have been disturbances near the fracture belt. Admiral Varn expanded a hologram. Thin red lines flashed, lost communications, damaged probes, silent stations. Kale's eyes narrowed. This looks familiar. What do you mean? A counselor asked sharply. Kale pointed at the disrupted pattern. This is the same way raiders destabilized our settlement. They always started with sensors, then small attacks, then they hit the main colony. Varn scoffed. Princess, those were small frontier raids. This is the heart of Dominion space. Kale stepped closer, her voice calm but certain. Frontier or core, raiders don't change their strategy when it works. The room went quiet. Then a small voice spoke. Those lines are too clean, Noah said. Everyone turned. Noah and Mira had slipped quietly into the chamber, escorted by a nervous guard who didn't know whether he was allowed to stop them. Noah pointed at the map. Raider attacks are messy. This is organized. Someone is cutting through defense points like they know where everything is. Kale stared at him. You're right. Some council members looked offended. Others looked surprised. Lord Vorith looked furious. You dare bring these creatures into military discussions? But before Kale could defend them, Mira stepped forward. We recognize it because we lived through it. Her small fingers traced the map. When our world was attacked, the raiders used the same pattern. First, they made us blind. Then they made us scared. Then they came. Sareth said nothing. She simply watched the children, her eyes deep and thoughtful. Admiral Varn finally muttered, It is true. The pattern is too perfect. Kale walked to the hologram, her markings glowing. And it means one thing. This is not random. Someone is planning a major strike. Who? Sareth asked. Kale hesitated, then said, Someone who knows our defenses better than raiders ever could. The room stiffened. Internal betrayal? A counselor whispered. But Vorith snapped. We should not jump to conclusions based on human guesswork. Noah didn't flinch. It's not a guess. It's a memory. Kale placed her hand on Noah's shoulder. He's right. On Ashenreach, we survived because we paid attention to small warnings before the big attack. Suddenly alarms blared. The chamber lights flashed red. A voice crackled through the speakers. Unidentified fleet dropping out of FTL near the capital. Multiple warships. Shields rising across the city. Everyone froze. Sareth rose slowly from her throne, her face turning cold and sharp like carved crystal. Prepare all defenses. Kale's heart pounded. Mother, we need to seal the lower levels. If they sabotage our power grids, they'll hit there first. The Empress nodded. Go. Take a squad with you. Mira tugged Kale's sleeve. We can help. Kale knelt and cupped their faces. You help by staying safe. But Noah shook his head. We lived through this before. We know what danger looks like. Sareth approached them, kneeling slowly, an Empress lowering herself to two small humans. Her voice softened. Your courage is real. But this battle may be beyond children. Myra's eyes shined. On Ashenreach, we weren't children. We were survivors. The Empress stared at them for a long moment. Then she rose. Very well. Stay close to Kale. Do not wander. Do not act alone. The children nodded. Kale grabbed the emergency communicator and led them out of the chamber as soldiers rushed past them. Behind them, through the crystal windows, the sky split open. Black warships appeared, dozens of them, shaped like jagged blades cutting through the clouds. A storm had come to the Dominion's heart. And this time, the enemy wasn't aiming for a settlement. They were aiming for the throne. The sky over the capital turned black in moments. Dozens of enemy warships cut through the clouds like metal predators, their sharp hulls glowing with hostile fire. Sirens screamed across the palace grounds. Shield domes flickered. Defense towers struggled to come online fast enough. Kale ran through the corridors with Noah and Mira close behind, while a squad of royal guards followed her. Stay near me, Kale said, her voice firm but shaking with worry. Lights flickered overhead. The palace trembled as the first blasts hit the outer walls. Echoes of explosions rolled through the city like distant thunder. Noah looked up at the shaking ceiling. This is exactly how the raids started on Ashenreach. Kale didn't deny it. They reached the lower engineering level, a maze of tunnels, generators, and shield conduits. Two soldiers tried to access the main console, but the system refused every command. It's been tampered with, Kale said, just like Noah warned. Another explosion shook the floor. Mira grabbed a railing to keep her balance. A frightened engineer ran toward Kale. Princess, the primary power line to the eastern shields is offline. Someone rerouted it, on purpose. Noah stepped forward before Kale could answer. Show me the map. The engineer blinked in confusion. You? Kale nodded. Let him try. Noah climbed onto a stool and studied the hologram. His brow furrowed. They didn't cut the line, he said slowly. They looped it through the waste conduits. It's still there. Just hidden. How do you know that? One guard asked. Because the raiders did the same thing back home, Noah said. They always hide the real break behind something messy. Kale leaned in, impressed and worried at the same time. Can you fix it? Noah nodded. I think so. But we'll have to do it manually. Then let's move, Kale said. They followed Noah through the tunnel network. Pipes hissed. Lights blinked. The air smelled like burning circuits. Every few minutes, another blast shook the palace above them. Mira kept close to Kale, her small hand gripping Kale's sleeve. When they reached the junction point, they found the conduit panel partially melted, sabotage mixed with battle damage. Kale swore softly under her breath. This is worse than I thought. Noah crouched beside the ruined panel and examined the wires with shockingly steady hands. We can still reroute it, he said. But someone has to get into the service crawl space. Kale knelt beside him. It's too small for me. It's too hot for you, Mira said. Noah took a deep breath. I can do it. Kale felt fear punch her chest. Noah. He looked up at her. You told us to stay close. Doing nothing isn't close. Helping is close. Kale didn't know whether to argue or hug him. Before she could decide, Mira stepped closer. I'm going too, she said softly. Noah needs someone to hand him the right tools. Kale stared at the two little humans, small, fragile, brave beyond measure. She wiped sweat and dust from their foreheads with shaking fingers. Stay low, she whispered. Move slow. Speak if anything feels wrong. I'll be right here. The children nodded and crawled into the narrow space. Kale stayed kneeling by the opening, listening to every sound, every breath. Inside the crawl space, Noah worked fast. Sparks flew as he cut and reconnected lines. Mira handed him tools from the small kit Kale gave her. Almost done, Noah muttered. Then the conduit roared to life. Lights flickered. A deep hum vibrated through the walls. The shield network reconnected. Kale felt the change immediately. Power surged through the floor. In the distance, she could hear the outer dome stabilizing, the deep, ringing sound of a shield locking firmly into place. You did it, Kale called. Noah backed out of the crawl space, face smudged with soot. Mira followed, her cheeks streaked with dust. Both children were shaking from effort and fear, but smiling. Before Kale could hug them, the entire hallway lit with red emergency lights. A voice echoed. Breach in the western hall. Enemy troops inside the palace. The guards raised their weapons. Kale pulled the children behind her. How did they get inside? Mira whispered. Kale's voice was low and angry. Someone opened the way for them. Blaster fire echoed from above. Shouts followed. The enemy was close, too close. Kale turned to the guards. Take the children to the safest room in this floor. I'll hold the entrance. Noah shook his head fiercely. We're not leaving you. Kale knelt, cupping both their faces, her markings glowing with desperate love. You saved the entire city today. Let me protect you now. Myra's eyes filled with tears. Noah clenched his jaw but nodded. The guards led them away. Kale rose, drawing her weapon, breathing hard. The enemy was inside the palace. And if she didn't hold them back, they would take everything she loved. The fighting inside the palace spread like wildfire. Distant booms shook dust from the ceiling. Bright flashes lit the halls. The smell of burning metal drifted through the air. Somewhere above them, soldiers shouted orders while enemy blasters cracked like lightning. Kale sprinted up the staircase toward the western hall, her weapon glowing with charged energy. Every step hammered with one thought. They are after the throne. They are after my mother. They are after my children. She reached the hall just as enemy soldiers forced their way through a shattered doorway. Their armor was jagged, black, and humming with stolen Orth tech. Whoever supplied these fighters was not a simple raider. Behind Kale, royal defenders rushed in, archers, shield bearers, and young cadets trembling but determined. Kale raised her arm. Line formation. Push them back. Her voice cut through the fear like a blade. The defenders moved instantly. The enemy fired first. White bolts streaked down the hall. Kale rolled behind a pillar and shot back, hitting two attackers before they could reload. But more poured in. Too many. A blast struck the pillar, sending shards flying. A cadet beside Kale cried out, clutching his shoulder. Kale grabbed him and dragged him behind cover. It's okay, breathe, she told him, and then Myra's small voice echoed in her mind. On Ashen Reach, we weren't children. We were survivors. Kale steadied her breath. Focus. We fight smart. We hold the line. And she stood again. Meanwhile, in the safe room, Noah and Mira sat together in a reinforced chamber deep in the engineering level. Two guards stood at the entrance, blocking any exit. Machines hummed softly around them, shadows dancing on the walls. Noah paced back and forth, fists clenched. "We shouldn't be hiding," he muttered. Mira hugged her knees. "Kale told us to stay. Kale told us to stay close." Noah corrected. "This isn't close. This is trapped." Another explosion rocked the floor. The lights flickered. The guards exchanged worried looks. Noah stepped toward them. "Let me at least check the map system. We fixed the power. Maybe I can see where the enemy is coming from." The older guard shook his head. "We cannot allow you to leave this room." No one said anything about leaving. Noah replied stubbornly. "Just let me look at the controls." The guards hesitated, then nodded. Noah climbed up to the console and opened the palace grid. The map flickered red. Whole sections of the West Wing were falling. The enemy was moving fast, far faster than any simple raiders could. "Mira," Noah whispered. "They're surrounding Kale." Mira stood instantly. Fear filled her eyes, but something stronger pushed through: determination. "What do we do?" she asked. Noah's mind raced. He remembered how Kale taught the settlers to reroute doors during raids, how humans made traps from nothing but broken machines. He found a solution. "We help," he said. Back in the Western Hall, Kale was losing ground. The attackers pressed forward, forcing the defenders step by step toward the throne corridor. Kale blocked a shot with her shield and charged, knocking 3 soldiers down, but more replaced them immediately. She tried not to think of Noah and Mira. Are they safe? Are they scared? Are they waiting for me? Her arms burned. Her weapon overheated. Sweat streaked her brow. Then something strange happened. The hall lights flickered once, then twice, and then every door on the left side slammed shut, sealing tight. Kale blinked in confusion. A guard shouted, "Princess! Someone has taken control of the interior systems." At first she panicked. Sabotage? Then a familiar voice crackled through the comm speaker. "Kale? Kale, can you hear us?" Her heart jumped. "Noah." "Yes," the boy replied, breathless. "We closed 3 hallways. They can't flank you now." Myra's soft voice followed. "And we're locking their rear entrance too." Kale covered her mouth, half in shock, half in pride. "You shouldn't." "We're not alone," Noah said quickly. "The guards are helping us. But we know raider tricks better than they do." Suddenly, the right wall erupted inward with another enemy push. Kale fired back instantly. Noah shouted, "Block 7B. Closing." A heavy blast door slammed down just before 8 enemy fighters could rush in. The defenders cheered for the first time. Kale laughed, tired, relieved, fierce. "You two are going to give me gray hair," she whispered. "Gray looks cool," Mira said. Kale nearly choked on a laugh. Final stand in the hall. With the side paths sealed, the enemy was trapped in a narrow line. Kale raised her weapon high. "For the Empress." The defenders echoed her shout. They pushed forward in a wave, Kale leading the charge. Blaster fire lit the hall. Enemy fighters fell one after another, caught in a tight corridor with nowhere to run. Minutes later, the hall fell silent. The last enemy soldier collapsed. Kale stood in the middle of the broken corridor, chest heaving, armor scorched, markings glowing with battle fury. She lifted her calm. "Noah, Mira, you saved us." Mira sniffed. "Are you hurt?" Kale smiled softly. "Only a little." Noah's voice cracked with pride. "Kale, we helped defend your home." Kale whispered. "No, you helped defend our home." And for the first time since the attack began, Kale felt something stronger than fear: hope. The enemy forces inside the palace were defeated, but the sky above Orith Prime still glowed with burning streaks. Wreckage from broken ships drifted across the clouds like falling stars. The main shield dome flickered, dim but holding. Kale rushed back down to the engineering level, heart pounding, weapon still warm in her hand. 2 guards guided Noah and Mira out of the safe room. The moment Kale saw them, she dropped to her knees and pulled them into her arms. "You scared me half to death," she whispered, squeezing them tightly. Mira buried her face in Kale's shoulder. Noah hugged her back, but tried to act brave. "We didn't want you fighting alone," he said. "On Ashen Reach, we promised nobody fights alone." Kale held them harder. "You kept your promise," she whispered. "And you saved me." But their reunion lasted only seconds before the comm system crackled with urgent voices. "Enemy flagship is retreating. Hostiles pulling back from the capital. We have captured several infiltrators alive." Kale stood, grabbing the children's hands. "We go to the throne room," she said. "Mother will want to see you." The throne room after the storm. The throne room looked nothing like its usual perfect state. Cracks spread across the crystal pillars. Burn marks scarred the polished floor. Soldiers stood everywhere, guarding the Empress and securing the captured infiltrators. Empress Sereth sat tall despite a bandaged arm. Her markings glowed with exhaustion, but also fierce pride. When Kale entered with Noah and Mira, the Empress rose immediately. "Come here," she said softly. The children stepped forward, small among the towering Orth nobles. Sereth knelt, an Empress lowering herself before two human children once considered outsiders. "You protected my daughter," Sereth said. "You protected my palace. You protected our people." Myra's eyes widened. Noah straightened his back. Sereth continued, her voice echoing through the hall. "You saw danger when we ignored it. You fought fear when others hid. You acted with courage, not because you were trained, but because your hearts would not let you stand aside." Lord Voreth, pale and furious, shouted from the side. "This is madness. They are human children. This victory does not change their nature." Sereth cut him off with a single cold look. "No, Lord Voreth. It reveals it." Guards dragged the defeated traitors forward, their armor marked with secret symbols, proof of conspiracy within the Dominion. Sereth gestured to them. "These men betrayed the throne. They sabotaged our shields. They opened the palace gates to the enemy. And they almost destroyed us all." She turned to the children. But two small humans saw the truth before any of us. A ripple of shock moved through the court. Kale stood behind her children, her eyes shining with pride. "The Empress declares judgment." Sereth stepped closer to the children, placing her hands gently on their heads. "From this day forward," she said, her voice steady and full of meaning, "you are not outsiders. You are not guests. You are not temporary." The nobles leaned in, breath held. Sereth's markings glowed bright gold, the color of royal decree. "You are children of House Orth." Gasps filled the room. Some nobles bowed immediately. Some stiffened in shock. A few looked ashamed, but none dared speak. Sereth continued, "You will learn our ways. You will walk our halls. You will study alongside our young nobles. And one day," she paused, her voice softer now, "you may lead with wisdom far greater than the pride this court has lived in for centuries." Noah blinked in disbelief. Mira covered her mouth with her tiny hands. Kale felt tears rise in her eyes, but she stayed firm. "They deserve this," she said quietly. Sereth nodded. "They earned it." A new dawn for the Dominion. Later that evening, Kale and the children stood on the palace balcony. The city glowed beneath them, damaged, cracked, smoke rising from distant towers, but alive. Mira leaned her head on Kale's hip. Noah rested his hands on the balcony railing, watching the soldiers repair the shield arrays. "Do you think people will accept us?" Noah asked softly. Kale ran her fingers through his hair. "Some already do. Others will learn. Change is never easy." Mira looked up at the stars. "Are we really part of the royal family now?" Kale knelt between them, holding their hands. "Yes," she said. "Forever." A soft breeze carried the distant sound of cheering. Word was spreading through the capital. Two human children helped save Orth Prime. And for the first time, humans were being spoken of with something close to admiration, not fear, not suspicion. Kale wrapped her arms around Noah and Mira as the twin moons rose above the palace. "This is only the beginning," Kale murmured. Noah gave a small, confident smile. "Then let's make it a good beginning." And the three of them stood there together, an alien mother and two human children who had just reshaped the destiny of an entire empire. The night sky shimmered. A new future had begun.